Hey everyone, welcome back to Cineflix. Today we're diving deep into The Gorge 2025, a thrilling, emotional, and action-packed story directed by Scott Derrickson, starring Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy. This video will cover the entire storyline of The Gorge scene by scene, including major plot twists and the ending. Alright, let's jump straight into The Gorge and uncover the incredible story of Levi and Drasa. The movie opens with Drasa taking up a hidden sniper position overlooking an airport runway. She watches through her scope as a private jet lands and comes to a stop. After the plane door opens, a group of passengers disembarks. Drasa calmly waits, aiming specifically at a man exiting the plane. When he steps onto the tarmac, Drasa fires a single precise shot. The man drops instantly. Panic breaks out among the crowd. Security agents rush toward the scene as Drasa quickly dismantles her sniper rifle and escapes unnoticed in the confusion. Levi, sitting alone on a quiet beach. He stares out at the ocean, lost in thought, carrying the weight of unseen burdens. His phone buzzes. Levi picks it up and reads a simple, coded message. After replying to the message, Levi travels to a remote military-style facility. He checks in at a guarded entrance, presenting minimal identification. Inside, he meets a handler, a cold, professional woman who gives him a briefing. This is a classified assignment. No questions, no details. He is instructed to board a helicopter immediately. Without hesitation, Levi complies. Drasa arrives at a quiet cemetery. She carries a small bouquet of flowers, walking steadily toward her mother's grave. When she gets there, she finds that her father is already standing at the tombstone, quietly mourning. Without saying much at first, Drasa kneels and places the flowers on the grave. The silence between them is heavy. They eventually speak, exchanging cold and painful words. Her father talks about how much he misses her mother. He hints heavily that he intends to end his own life. Now mid-air, having jumped from a plane, he drifts down under a parachute toward a vast, remote landscape. The ground below is rough, isolated, barren fields leading toward steep cliffs and rocky formations. Levi lands smoothly, alone in the middle of nowhere. He gathers his gear, adjusts his pack, and begins the long trek across the rugged terrain. He walks in silence, moving with determination. As he hikes, the land becomes harsher and more treacherous. Eventually, after climbing over rocks and scaling steep ridges, Levi reaches the edge of the gorge. Waiting for him, there is JD, a scruffy, easygoing man who acts as the site's caretaker and liaison. JD greets Levi casually, almost too casually for the seriousness of the place. JD gives him a quick, no-nonsense briefing. Levi's job is simple: stay at his assigned tower, guard his side of the gorge, and shoot anything that tries to cross. No questions, no exceptions. JD also hints that there are other sentries posted around the gorge, but emphasizes that communication between them is prohibited. Levi listens carefully, not asking for details. He knows better than to question orders. After the briefing, JD points Levi toward a long, narrow bridge leading to his tower. Levi takes a deep breath, then crosses, stepping into a world of isolation and silent danger. JD is waiting at a clearing nearby, expecting to be extracted. A helicopter arrives, kicking up sand and dust as it lands. JD approaches the extraction team eagerly, desperate to leave the gorge. He hands over his gear, follows instructions, and gets ready to board. But just as he thinks he's finally getting out, one of the soldiers suddenly turns and shoots him at close range, killing JD instantly. After JD's departure, Levi settles into a monotonous routine, keeping watch from his tower, cleaning his rifle, maintaining equipment, and staying alert for any threats across the gorge. The days are long, the nights even longer. The endless silence presses down on him like a weight. Across the gorge, unknown to Levi, Drasa is also stationed at her own outpost. She follows the same cold pattern, checking her gear, scanning the gorge with binoculars, and patrolling her lonely stretch of wasteland. Both of them live in total isolation. Two ghosts on opposite sides of a vast, empty world, unaware they are destined to collide. Days pass in silence across the gorge. Levi sits alone at his post. Suddenly, a distant gunshot echoes through the air, but it's not aimed at him or any target. It's fired harmlessly into the sky. Levi quickly locates the source through his scope. Drasa, standing openly across the gorge at her post. She holds up a piece of paper, large enough for Levi to see through his binoculars. Written on it, "It's my birthday." Levi stares, unsure how to respond. After a pause, he scribbles a note of his own, holds it up, and uses his scope to let her read it. The two start a silent, improvised conversation, communicating through handwritten notes held up across the vast gap, watching each other through their binoculars. There are no radios, no voices, just scribbled words and cautious smiles from afar. In the endless loneliness of the gorge, this tiny act of rebellion becomes their first real human connection. After their playful note exchanges, Drasa turns things up another notch. She blasts music loudly from across the gorge, the lively beats echoing through the canyon. Levi, alone at his post, hears the music and looks across with his binoculars. Drasa, in a daring move, raises her rifle. But this time she takes aim right at Levi's water bottle sitting outside his post. Bang! The shot echoes across the gorge, and Levi's water bottle is suddenly punctured, spraying water everywhere. Levi stares in disbelief, half shocked, half amused. Drasa grins from her side, holding up a playful note or making a gesture like, "Your move." Levi, reluctantly smiling, picks up his rifle. They continue the playful shooting, targeting harmless objects, showing off their skills, testing each other's reactions, all while the music blares in the background. In that moment, despite the deadly world they live in, the gorge feels almost human again. As Levi and Drasa enjoy their brief, reckless fun, something shifts. The ground trembles slightly, the distant, low rumble barely noticeable at first. Both Levi and Drasa pause. Their laughter and shooting stop instantly. Through their scopes and binoculars, they spot movement, dark, twisted figures crawling up the sheer walls of the gorge, clawing and scrambling over the rocks with unnatural speed. Creatures, monstrous and feral, are emerging from the darkness below. Levi grips his rifle, heart pounding. Drasa instantly goes into combat mode too, grabbing her weapon and signaling urgently across the gorge. The playful atmosphere vanishes, replaced by sheer survival instinct. But despite their efforts, one of the monsters moves faster, reaching Drasa's position before she can reload. Drasa draws her sidearm and empties it into the creature at close range. The shots finally drop the monster, its twisted body crumpling at her feet. Breathing hard, shaking with adrenaline, Drasa looks around for more threats. But the creatures are still coming. Seeing her vulnerable, Levi quickly switches from sniper mode to heavy machine gun fire. He grabs his mounted automatic weapon, swings it around, and unleashes a torrent of bullets across the gorge. From his tower, he rips into the advancing creatures, mowing them down before they can reach Drasa. Drasa scrambles to regroup behind cover, reloading and recovering, while Levi's relentless gunfire buys her precious time. Shell casings rain down around Levi as he keeps firing, fighting with everything he has to protect the only other human out there. The teamwork is wordless, instinctive, and deadly effective. Together, through gunfire and grit, they hold the gorge. Barely. After the brutal firefight, the gorge falls silent again, but the aftermath reveals the cost. During the chaos, a bomb or explosive embedded in the gorge walls had detonated, sending a shockwave and debris flying. Drasa was caught in the blast. She took shrapnel or impact damage to her shoulder, leaving her wounded and bleeding. Levi watches her through his binoculars, tense and worried. But Drasa, tough as ever, shrugs it off. Despite the pain, she manages to stand up, waving at Levi from across the gorge. With a huge, exhausted grin, she holds up a handwritten sign for him to see through his scope. Best birthday ever. Levi stares for a moment, stunned by her resilience, then cracks a rare, genuine smile. In the middle of all the death and destruction, they found something else. Connection, defiance, and maybe even a strange kind of hope. As time passes, the brutal desert slowly turns from a battleground into something different. A fragile, makeshift home for Levi and Drasa. The next big moment comes at Christmas. Across the gorge, Levi sets up a small, sad little Christmas tree. Just a few sticks tied together and some scraps of cloth fluttering in the wind. Drasa, spotting it through her binoculars, laughs silently. Their playful communication grows stronger. They exchange small gifts and notes across the gorge. At night, they play chess remotely, setting up identical boards, calling out moves by holding up signs or flashing lights. The two warriors, once strangers, now sit miles apart, locked in friendly battles of strategy and teasing. Later, Drasa builds a rough, makeshift drum from scraps and barrels. She pounds out a beat that echoes across the canyon, challenging Levi to respond. Levi grabs his own improvised drum, a battered old fuel canister, and taps out an answering rhythm. Across the emptiness, music and laughter travel where words still barely do. Despite the endless desolation around them, for a few stolen moments, they build a world only they understand. Levi decides to do the unthinkable, cross the gorge and meet her face to face. He sets up a makeshift grappling system, using a rocket launcher to fire a line across the deep canyon. He carefully attaches a rope or cable to the launcher. A loud whoosh echoes through the air as he fires the shot, the line unspooling rapidly across the wide gap, anchoring it to Drasa's side. With the line secured, Levi rigs a pulley harness to it. Taking a deep breath, he launches himself off the edge of his tower, sliding dangerously high above the open gorge, dangling hundreds of feet in the air as he ziplines toward Drasa's side. The crossing is rough. The line shakes and sags, but somehow he makes it. Levi drops down onto Drasa's platform, breathing hard, smiling. For the first time, the two of them stand face to face. No notes, no binoculars, no distance. Only each other. And everything changes. That night, they celebrate in the only way they can. A simple dinner together. They eat side by side on the rooftop under the open stars. No need for written notes anymore. Just looks, small laughs, and a fragile peace. After dinner, Drasa surprises Levi. She turns on the music again, the same way she did weeks before across the gorge. But this time right there in front of him. Playfully, she extends her hand toward him, inviting him to dance. At first, Levi hesitates. He's awkward, stiff, unsure how to let go. But Drasa pulls him in, and soon they're swaying together. Slow and clumsy, but real. As the music plays and the night stretches on, they pull closer. Finally, their heads lean in, and they share their first kiss. It's hesitant at first, almost afraid, but then deeper, full of everything they've been holding back. For one beautiful moment, there is no war, no creatures, no death. Just Levi and Drasa, together at last. As dawn breaks after their night together, Levi prepares to return to his tower across the gorge. He reattaches himself to the rope line. But just as he's mid-crossing, A lurking creature hidden in the rocks below triggers an explosive trap along the gorge wall. The explosion snaps the rope. The line rips apart, and Levi plunges downward, falling into the dark depths of the gorge. Without a second's hesitation, Drasa grabs weapons, slings rifles over her shoulders, loads ammunition, straps on gear, and charges down from her tower. There's no thinking, no fear, just pure instinct. She refuses to let him die alone. In seconds, Drasa rappels down the side of the gorge herself, diving headfirst into the shadows after Levi, ready to fight through anything to reach him. Deep inside the gorge, Drasa moves cautiously through the rocky darkness, searching desperately for any sign of Levi. She finally finds him, battered, bruised, but alive. Together, they press on, but what they find down there is far worse than anything they imagined. As they move deeper, they discover a nightmare landscape. Every living thing down there, plants, animals, even the ground itself, has been mutated beyond recognition, warped by decades of exposure to some unknown force. The air feels wrong. The world feels sick. As they venture further, they finally piece together the horrifying truth. The creatures that have been attacking them, the monsters that climb out of the gorge night after night, aren't just mindless beasts. They're the remnants of a lost battalion. A long time ago, a full military battalion was sent into the gorge to investigate or secure something. But instead of returning, they were changed, mutated, corrupted, twisted into hollow, monstrous versions of themselves. The Hollow Men, soldiers once human, now little more than predators, driven only by ancient instincts of violence and survival. What Levi and Drasa have been fighting all this time weren't alien monsters. They were human beings lost to madness and mutation. The horror sinks in. This is what the gorge does. It devours anything that enters it, body, mind, and soul. And now, Levi and Drasa are trapped inside it too. As Levi and Drasa move deeper into the ruined heart of the gorge, they come across a hidden underground laboratory, half buried under decades of rock and collapse. Inside, they uncover the truth. The gorge wasn't always like this. During World War II, an earthquake struck the region, rupturing a secret bioweapons facility hidden deep underground. The facility had been working on horrific experiments, bioengineering weapons using aggressive viruses and unstable DNA manipulation. When the earthquake hit, containment failed, and the bioweapon leaked into the entire ecosystem. Over the decades, the land, plants, animals, and even people became mutated beyond recognition. But it didn't end there. The site was never abandoned. Instead, a modern-day defense contractor called Darklake secretly took over operations. Rather than shutting down the site, Darklake began harvesting the mutated DNA, using it to try to engineer super soldiers. The Hollow Men, the twisted remnants of the battalion, were a side effect, a glimpse into the kind of nightmare Darklake was trying to control and weaponize. As Levi and Drasa explore further, they stumble upon sealed files and data logs explaining the Stray Dog Protocol. It's a nuclear contingency plan. If the contamination ever became uncontrollable, the gorge and everything in it, including any survivors, will be wiped off the map by nuclear fire. And it gets even worse. Among the records, they discover that infection from the gorge's ecosystem takes 5 days to show symptoms. That means, after everything they've been through, Levi and Drasa may already be infected. The clock has started ticking, and nobody's coming to save them. Desperate for a way out, they move topside from the ruined labs and tunnels and emerge into an open, wrecked yard just outside the main collapsed facility. There, battered but intact, they find it. An old military jeep, abandoned among broken crates, rusted fuel tanks, and skeletal guard towers. The vehicle looks rough, paint peeling, tires half flat, but it's still operational. And crucially, it's fitted with a heavy-duty winch at the front. Exactly what they need to escape the vertical hell of the gorge. Drasa doesn't hesitate. She jumps into the driver's seat, taking control immediately, while Levi rides shotgun, reloading weapons and keeping watch. She guns the engine, and the Jeep lurches forward, kicking up clouds of dust as they tear across the broken yard and head toward the steep, broken paths spiraling up the gorge walls, where the road crumbles away or the cliffs are too steep. Drasa slams the Jeep into position, and they deploy the winch, anchoring it onto rocks or wreckage to haul themselves up inch by brutal inch. The climb is rough. The engine roars, the steel cable groans, and every foot of progress feels like stealing life back from a place built for death. Behind them, deep inside the gorge, something begins to stir. Something that isn't ready to let them go. The mutated remnants of the old battalion pour out of caves and crevices, horribly twisted, relentless, and enraged. They swarm after the Jeep, scrambling over rocks and cliffs with unnatural speed. Levi leans out the passenger side, emptying magazines into the Hollow Men, blasting them back. But there are too many. The creatures start to close the distance. In a moment of desperation, Levi grabs his combat knife and stabs it deep into the Jeep's fuel tank, ripping it open. Fuel sprays out, leaving a trail of gasoline behind them as they climb. The Hollow Men, crazed and bloodthirsty, charge straight through the spreading fuel. Drasa floors the engine, pushing the crippled Jeep harder. Then Levi grabs a flare gun. Without hesitation, he fires it back over their heads. The gasoline trail ignites. An inferno erupts instantly, racing along the fuel line, consuming the Hollow Men in a towering wall of flame. The fire chases straight up the line, catching the leaking Jeep itself. There's no time to escape cleanly. With a deafening explosion, the entire Jeep detonates, throwing Levi and Drasa clear, hurling them into the dust and rocks of the upper slope. The blast annihilates dozens of Hollow Men and obliterates any chance of a calm escape. Bruised and bloodied, Levi and Drasa scramble to their feet. Alive but now on foot, they climb the upper cliffs and reach the top. During Levi's routine radio check, Bartholomew's voice comes through. Sharp, cold, and merciless woman who hired Levi for the role job. She knows. She knows they uncovered the Dark Lake experiments, the Hollow Men, the bioweapon leak, and the truth about the Stray Dog Protocol. There can be no loose ends. Over the radio, she gives Levi a brutal new order. Kill Drasa. Immediately, Levi freezes, the weight of the betrayal hitting him like a bullet. But Levi doesn't hesitate. He refuses the order. Bartholomew, realizing Levi has turned against her, unleashes Dark Lake's final contingency. Hunter-killer drones and Dark Lake agents are deployed to the gorge. Levi and Drasa are now declared expendable assets, to be erased at all costs. They survive the gorge. Now, they must survive Dark Lake itself. As the Dark Lake hunter-killer teams and drones close in, gunfire erupts all around the cliffs of the gorge. Levi and Drasa fight desperately, but it's not enough against overwhelming force. But the snipers turn the tables. With perfect surgical shots, they start shooting down the Dark Lake drones, disabling their air support. They destroy the cloaking field emitters that had kept the entire gorge invisible to satellites and external eyes. Instantly, the gorge's location becomes visible to the outside world. Surveillance satellites pick up the chaos. Outsiders become aware of the bioweapon disaster. And somewhere deep in Dark Lake's command centers, the Stray Dog Protocol is triggered. The ancient automatic system, a nuclear self-destruct program, comes online. High above, a nuclear missile armed decades ago during wartime is launched to erase the gorge and everything in it, to hide the truth forever. Bartholomew and the Dark Lake leadership team realize their fate too late. They try to scramble and evacuate, but the nuke is faster. In a blinding flash, the missile strikes the gorge. A massive nuclear explosion consumes the entire area, killing Bartholomew, her team, and everything left inside Dark Lake's operation. At the moment of impact, Levi, knowing there's no time, jumps off the cliff into the river below, trying to outrun the firestorm rolling toward him at impossible speed. Drasa, far across the other side of the gorge, manages to escape just in time, sprinting away from the blast zone, but never seeing if Levi made it out alive. Drasa, believing she might have been exposed to the bioweapon, places herself into self-quarantine, isolated from the world, watching and waiting, counting the days to see if she will mutate like the Hollow Man. 5 days. No symptoms. She is clean. She survived. Still haunted, she travels alone to the rendezvous point, the place she and Levi had agreed to meet if they made it out. Drasa waits. Levi never comes. Standing alone, facing the empty landscape, Drasa breaks down in tears, believing Levi, the only person she connected with, trusted, and loved, is dead. She clutches the memory of their bond. Alone in the wide, broken world they fought to escape. Drasa, broken but still breathing, is working the tables at a quiet restaurant. Every face she serves is a reminder of the one she lost. One late afternoon, as the sun bleeds low across the sky, standing there, battered, bruised, exhausted, but unmistakably alive, is Levi. His delay in reaching her was due to injury. The firestorm had nearly killed him, but he survived. He found his way back to her. Slowly, as if afraid the moment might shatter, Drasa walks toward him. No words are needed. Without hesitation, they kiss. They survive the gorge. They survive the betrayal, the fire, the monsters, the silence, the loneliness. And now, they survive together. So with that, we end our deep dive to the depths of the gorge. Thank you for staying with us till the end. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more cinematic explorations. This is Cineflix, where every deserving story is told. Until next time, stay strong, stay curious, and we will catch you at the next one.